Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Live from Lincolnwood, Illinois, in my house. Just got back, literally just got back from Yellowstone, full day of travel. Those are the days that let's call it the eichus of the shir is not where I would want it to be. It's preparing during travels is the worst of the worst. But at the same time, that's the beauty of the daf, that during Ben Azmanim, during travel, the daf goes on. A daf must be said, a daf must be learned. There's a great mazel that today's daf is full of stories, full of geschmack. It's a beautiful, beautiful daf. What do we have here today? Yishai, David, V'Naftali, Habnei Dodim, the cousins, Lebet Mishpachas Meirovitz, Lo mevatrim al limud hayomi in Reb Eli etzel Avimor Romania, in Romania. So even when they're on vacation, they're still learning Torah. Exactly what we're just discussing. Some sort of hotel, I guess, in Romania. The Fuyana, Bereshov. Okay, what do we have here? Gewaltige video, gerade. Love the guy's socks. Check out the socks at the end. Pool table. Back in the day.
Geschmack.
גוטה וור, שיהיה לכם ערב טוב ונעים.
דף צדיק ג' סיימתי.
Gewaldig, he has his beer, he has his socks, he has his Gemara. This is how you learn the daf? No, this is how you drink beer. If you want to drink beer, you do a daf. I hear, Gewaldig. We're live in Eretz Yisrael. It's 7:15 right now in Eretz Yisrael, and I'm live here in Chicago, 11:15, 12:15 by Mark Ashkenazi. We're doing great today. We're early. Usually Mark is doing the shir at 3:30 in the morning. Today, maybe he'll go to sleep at 2. Gewaldig. The Masechta by Zevin Yael Shulaf. That's the official edition Masechta. Perek Zayin, dedicated by the Benedict family. Mark, maybe you could get me some updated numbers. I haven't spoken to anybody today. I was on a plane and then the delays, you know how it goes. So we got into Chicago a little bit later than I wanted to. And I really didn't speak to Moti Belsky today. It's good to know a few updates, what's going on. Anybody get married while I was on the plane? Perek Shvi, dedicated by the Benedict family. Daf Tzadikei, Esriel Rappaport, in honor of the Yortzeit of Reb Levi Yitzchok, the father of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Neshama should have an Aliyah. David Salomon, dedicated in memory of Avi Moiri, Reb Shmuel Baruch, Ben Reb Chaim Tzvi, Doi Zechron Levracha. The Palisky Family Foundation, may our Limud HaTorah during the Ben Azmanim bring us closer to Yemei Geula V'Simcha. It's always been difficult for me. It was always very difficult to learn Ben Azmanim. I felt it was like a time to just relax. And it's Chatoy Animaski. It was very difficult back in the day when I didn't have that Kvius Itim. It was more of Eon, and it was just very hard. Anonymous, Hatzlacha Baruch Nizuvagashmis, and thank you to Chief Benny. Anonymous for a complete refuah shleima and arichas yom to Leah Bas Esther, Chaim and Leah Levy in honor of the MDY family. We might have some interesting announcement to make regarding Chaim and Leah Levy. Anonymous for my birthday and as a schus for the hatzlacha of my family Baruchni and Begashmi. Ari Simon the refuah shleima Avi Moiri Baruch Ben Miriam. The Tzvi's refuah shleima to Rivka Naomi Bas Elisheva Batyo. She should have a refuah shleima. The Muncie MDY firefighters and leading our unforgettable chief Chaim Gavriel Ben Arya Yoel Jacobson Zechron Levracha, a very, very famous person for his chesed, for his simchas hachayim, mamish, unforgettable chief. This young guy, the Spanish year sponsors Refuah Shlema to our dear friend of the Shir B'Espanol, the consortium, the Nishmas Rabbi Avram Yaakov ben Rabbi Reuven Alevi Zichron Levrach, the father of Peretz Chaim Levin. I want to tell you, yesterday I mentioned Reb Chaim Peretz Levin lost his father, and also Eli Yashir lost his father. And I knew this, but in just being tired and everything, I wanted to say about Eli Yashir's father. He didn't learn Torah really until he was 75 years old, and he started learning because Eli Yashir made a siyum on Masechtas Megillah, and that it inspired his father to pick up a Gemara for the very first time and start learning. He was zoicha to learn Torah for 3 years. In fact, he was nifter listening to the shir. As he was listening to the shir, yotza nishmasai. So his neshama should have an aliyah. It's never too late to start learning Torah, and it's always an inspiration to hear these stories. Monthly, Kinnovations LLC has a schus fakiv simcha ben feiga and Rivka Yehudis Bas Yavachaya and our kids too. Daily sponsors, Eli Yashir. You see, I didn't know that he's sponsoring in memory of Moshe ben Nizaha. That's his father. His neshama should have an aliyah. Hillel Kamiansky in honor of Yitzi Goldstein from Southside Smokehouse. 192 consecutive daf. We're very proud of Yitzi, and every time he finished the Masechta, he made a huge siyum. It's a big thing for him, big thing. So it's a big thing for me as well. I share in your simcha, Yitzi. Mordechai Sapazim Lili Nishmas Rabbi Avram Yaakov ben Rabbi Reuven Halevi Zichron Levrach. May his neshama have an aliyah. May his son. Did I call him something else before? I think I call him Chaim Peretz. Peretz, Chaim, and family have a true nechama. Month, L'Refuah Shlema Mordechai ben Esther, L'Refuah Hayela Daniel Zev ben Ayela Esther. So Rabbi Isai, we're starting from the bottom of Tzadik Dalet Amud Beis. You know, these are all Nisim and Eflois that we're holding on the daf where we're supposed to be holding. We're not too far behind. This guy is not a very good guy. He's a butcher, and he's in a big fight with another person in Shul, and he tells him, "You have his daf tzadik heyom aleph on top. You have a paisis minoi. If we would have made up, if you would come and ask me mechila, and I would have forgiven you," he tells him, "you should have asked me mechila a long time ago. You heard about this big, giant, fat ox that I shechted yesterday, and the steaks, you can't even imagine how good the steaks were. Had you been my friend, you'd have had unbelievable tasty steaks." So the guy tells him, "Achli mishufri shufri, I already had from your steaks. I heard that you shechted one of these animals, and I got not stam the steak, I got the best of the best. There's a part of the animal, I forgot what it's called, there's only 1 pound per animal. That's what I got. The shufri of the shufri, the best of the best." Where'd you get such a fat gishmak steak? So as we're going to see in the sugya, it was very, very prevalent in those days for the goyim to sell kosher meat everywhere. And as we discussed, if it's a place that they announce that there's a treifa, so it's mutter for you to buy from the goy. As long as they didn't announce that day that there's a treifa, you're buying from the goy. Today, nobody would dare buy from a goy, chas v'shalom. It has to have 25 stempels and stuff and this and that actually is not good enough. Those days, they bought from the goy. So he says, your animal that you tried to make sure that I don't get the steaks, I got the steaks. I got it from the goy. The goy bought it, and I got the best of the best. No, not the sweetbreads. No. Yeah, Shmulik. Ask Shmulik. He's the one that told me it's not sweetbreads. No. He told me that there's 1 pound or 2 pounds per every animal. Yeah, but it's not sweetbreads. That certain, I'm not even going to name the restaurant in, maybe it's Reserve Cut, that they own a shlachtois, so they were able to bring that Reserve Cut. That's why it's called Reserve Cut, not sweetbreads. No. Yeah. Anyway, ask him again what it's called. Shmulik knows. No, it's not. No, not sweetbreads. I'm not mikabel what he's saying. Okay, Mark Ashkenazi, hashtag weiter. Mark Ashkenazi is on my computer typing away. So, so listen to this. This Rasha tells him, Omar Le, Shrei Avdi. I shechted 2 yesterday. The first one that I shechted was treif. So I got rid of it. I sold it to a guy. And then I shechted the second one. And I didn't tell him to announce it. You, big chacham, you bought the meat from the treif. Ha! That's what I'm trying to tell you. If you were my friend, I would give you kosher meat. Now, because you're not my friend, you ate treif. La 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 la. Like the guy's a Russia, making fun of him. Omalei treavdi. Va'u treivavo. Omar Rebbe. Bishvil, here comes my most favorite word. Bishvil shoyte zeh she'asa shloika hoigen. I got a lot of mussar from my wife that was saying the word shoyte on Shabbos in front of my eniklach. I told her it's better than some of the other words they were using because they go to non-Jewish school in Utah, and some of the words they were using were not so gishmak. And Rebbe Dafka was saying, I told them that shoyte is one of the worst words they could ever say, and I hope they never say it. So they said it the whole Shabbos. Shoyte, shoyte, shoyte. Okay, that should be from the worst things I taught my Eniklach. But there, the Gemara says it, not me. Omar Rebbe, Rabbeinu Kodesh says, because of this idiot, this shoita, who did against halacha on uneso kala mekolim. So it's interesting. The word mekolim comes from the word that we know in Eretz Yisrael, makolet. We should answer all the stores that sell meat because this guy didn't announce. Most of the meat in this city is kosher meat. Most of the goyim that sell meat in the city are selling the kosher meat. There's no reason for us to answer because he just admitted that he did something wrong. If the meat comes from the kosher butchers, most of the meat in the city comes from Jews, and memela, I'm allowed to buy meat from a goy. Ikidamri, some say the story is slightly different. Omar Rebbe, again, my favorite word. He wasn't being serious. He was trying to chepa, as they say in Yiddish. He was trying to bother his friend. He wasn't saying the truth that he saw that there was a treif and he gave it to the guy. He was lying. He just wanted to be mitzar the guy. What's a big mitzar for a Jew? You tell a Jew that he by mistake ate a treif sandwich, that the chicken he bought for the last 5 years in the store was actually treif. It's a tremendous tsar for Yid. We're so makbid and kashrus, and the guy comes along and tells me that I ate treif. He was chapening, he's pranking him. So the difference between the first lashon and the second lashon is in the first lashon he was being serious. I was a Rasha. I sold the treif, but I can't rely on you and your riches. I'm not going to answer everybody. The second one is forget about it. It never even happened. So we can be medayik. It's because this guy wanted to bother his friend. But if it wasn't because of that, the meat would be kosher. There would be aser. Why would it be aser? If most of the butchers are Jewish and most of the meat is kosher, why would it be aser? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you why it would be aser. If the guy is moida that he had a treif animal and he gave it to the guy, so it's different than a city that has a roiv, Jews, and we can be soymech on the roiv and say that most of the meat is kosher. Over here, what we're saying is, we know for a fact that 1,200 pounds of meat is completely treif. It's chaz gisura, and that went into the marketplace. That's problematic. That's why it would be a problem. But because we're saying that he was lying and he's just shepening, then it's not a problem. So now we're starting a brand new sugya. Very, very famous halacha. It comes with stories and geschmack stuff. Omarav basar kivin shenisalim minoayin osur. We had a similar halacha when it comes to water left overnight, but over here it's a slightly different halacha. If you have meat that wasn't supervised, and the Gemara soon is going to say that's not just the supervision by a yid, but even a supervision by a goy. If it wasn't being supervised for a moment, it's usher to eat. Usher to eat, says Rav. And this is how we paskin. Basar kivin shenis alim minayin asur. What's the concern? The concern is that a raven, by the way, in Yellowstone, they had some serious ravens, much larger than I'm used to. Like, I would say double the height, double the width. Giant ravens. I wonder if it's like a special breed or they ate a lot. I'm used to the ones in Eretz Yisrael. They're literally half the size, I would say. Way half of everything. They're big, giant birds. I'm talking about, the raven. And why is that important? I'm thinking now, it's important because how much could a small raven lift? These ravens can lift serious pieces of meat. We're concerned that a raven will come in and swap the piece of meat. Says Tosfos that it's not a real chashash mid'oraisa, but Rav is basing his chumrah on a story that happened. The Ma'aseh Shaya. But mid'oraisa is not such a problem. Okay? Again, so the whole concern is that a raven swapped it out with non-kosher meat. Otherwise, we don't have an issue. This city has a roiv. Most of the butchers are Jewish. Most of the meat is kosher. It's not a problem. If you have kosher butchers, what's the problem? The meat that is by a goy is completely mutter. So why? And by the goy, who's watching the goy? You don't have a Jewish supervisor. You don't have a mishgiach sitting there and watching the meat the whole time. You're buying it from a non-Jewish vendor. So obviously it's basar shenesalim in island. It's basar shenesalim in ayin. This is meat that was not supervised for at least a moment here and a moment there. Says the Gemara, Ninsa biyad goy shani. It's not true. The goy is supervising it, and that's the ikr. All we care is the raven. We care that the raven should swap it out from another place. He'll come from another city with a different steak and swap it out with the non-kosher meat. That we don't have a problem when the goy is sitting there. Now, how do we know that the goy is watching? So they discussed that also. So says the Gemara, Toshma, Teisha Chanuyos. Oh, one of my favorite sugyas. Teisha Chanuyos. It's not so much my favorite sugya, but I always never understood. Like, it seems like this would not happen in our days. In other words, nobody would eat such meat today. Like, we're more machmer than then. So what's the situation? We have 9 stores that are Bernstein's and Miskovsky and what's the names here? Luzgarten, kosher meat. 9 stores that are all kosher. And one of them, the 10th one is non-kosher. Esposito's pork store. But the rest is mamish kosher. Kulon moichers b'sar shchuto. 9 out of 10 sell kosher meat. V'achas mecheres b'sar nevela. The 10th one sells non-kosher meat, dead meat that wasn't shachted, nevela. V'lokach ma'achas mem ve'enu yideh meiz mem lokach. He bought meat from one of the stores, and he's not sure which one of the 10 stores he bought. Sveiko asur. It's also for him to eat the meat. Why? There's a concept called kol kavua kemechza mechzadami. When something is stationary, we don't have a roiv, we lose the majority. We lose the concept of majority. So since the store is stationary, and you went into the store to buy the meat, and you purchased from a stationary location or object, stationary object, so that stationary object becomes 50-50. And 50-50, it's 50% kosher, 50% non-kosher. You can't eat meat that's a 50-50. You can eat meat that's 51% kosher in terms of roiv. That there's the Rav tells us there's 51% chance that you're eating kosher, then it's okay to eat the meat. This is called kavua. That if it came, you went into the store and purchased it, elderly person, forgetful a little bit. It's also why, because you went into the store called kavua kemechza mechza. It's only 50-50. But if you find it, benimtza, if you find it on the street in front of the stores, then you're permitted to eat it because we say that it came from the Rav, the majority, which is kosher. Gewaldig. Ubenimtza alach achar Rav. Hachanami benimtza. Says the Gemara, oh. So what's the question? The question is, after everything, the bottom line is, how could you pick up a piece of meat off the floor and say that it must have come from one of the 9 stores and not the 10th store, Melet's mutter, but the piece of meat was on a sidewalk and nobody's watching it? Isn't that basar shenesalam minayin? It's meat that was lost from supervision. There's no supervision for a moment. Says the Gemara, chenami benimtza biyad goy. No, it was supervised the entire time by the non-Jew. And you found it over there by the non-Jew, but somebody's watching it. Tashma motzaba basar. You went to a city and you found meat in the city. So what do? You find out what's the majority of the butchers. This is what always bothered me. I never had a good answer. A person finds a piece of meat. You don't know if it's badatz. You don't know if it's OU. You don't know if it's rabbanut. You don't know anything. For all you know, it's halal meat. For all you know, it's Esposito's meat. It's mamish non-kosher. You're allowed to pick it up and eat it. L'chatchilim, people did that. So, I never understood. We're so makbid today. I would never touch that guy's hechsher, and I actually don't. I'm makbid also. Surnach sherim I don't eat, and my father doesn't eat meat b'chlal. I grew up in a house that we barely, some years we didn't eat meat because he was very makbid on not eating meat, and this for many years. And then all of a sudden he found a certain hechsher that it was always a thing. And over here you have this idea of Teisha Chanuyas that's very possible. There's a 10% chance that it's non-kosher at all. No, you're allowed to eat it. There's a Rav. We're going with the Rav. So they say, but the 9 that did give the hechsher, then they were super, super good. Today, the hechsher, okay. Sorry. So it goes like this. Matzah basar. You found meat in a city. Depends, if the majority of the butchers in the city are Jewish, then you could eat it. What if you found a hamburger, cooked piece of meat? Look around. If you're in a city with the majority, you're in Borough Park, majority Jews, I hope, I don't know, maybe, in Muncie, majority Jews, you find a hamburger on the floor, then you could eat it. So what are you going to tell? So now once again we have the question: you picked up a hamburger off the floor, so you make a whole cheshbon. Are the majority of the eaters of meat, the meat eaters in this city, are they Jewish? The answer is yes. Okay, you can eat it. What about the 5 minutes that was sitting on the ground and nobody's watching it? Isn't that basar shenesalam and ayin? It should be also according to Rav. And if you'll tell me, you're going to say, you know what? Over here also a non-Jew is watching it. So then how come if it's cooked, we should say it's a Jewish hamburger? V'nechzi, If the guy is holding on to it, then it's non-kosher meat. And if a Jew is holding it, then it's kosher. Says the Gemara, so the Jew is watching from a distance, and he sees that it's not, there's no raven over here. What's the whole concern? The concern is that maybe a raven is going to come and switch it out. No, that's not the concern. That didn't happen over here. Okay. So says the Gemara, if this meat is it was dropped or whatever by a non-Jew, you're allowed to eat it. The only concern we have is the raven that brought it from another city, because this city has roiv kosher meat, even the guys has kosher meat. The concern is the raven. That's not a concern because he was watching from a distance, he saw that there's no raven. Tashma, if you found meat outside of Yerushalayim, depends. Evarim nevelos. If it's full limbs, we're going to say that it's an animal that's an avela. Chatichos, but if it's cut up, mutaros. Now, how are you allowed to eat pieces of meat that didn't have supervision? It's basar shenesalam and ayin, which is awesome. So you're watching from a distance. So then why do you say that a large limb is considered an avela? Says, well, you're right. Midu taimo el rav. You're telling me, you're talking in terms of Rav. But Rav, you're asking me in Rav. That what? Rav is the author of this halacha that basar shenesalim min ayin is asur. But Rav himself says that these pieces of meat are not like what you think. Rav amar mutaros mishum nevela. They are also to be eaten. But the only problem is that they're not, what's mutaros in nevela? They're not tamei as in nevela. But they're also to eat. The Levi amar mutaros ba'achila. And Levi argues and says you're allowed to eat it. Okay. Says the Gemara, very similar to what we had yesterday. Yesterday we had halacha of Shmuel. I already forgot what he said. The Gemara says in Shmuel that the la mefurish idmar, he didn't say mefurish, it was miklali idmar, and where was it? Wow, chazara. Oh, gnevas das. Also lignev das habrios, right. Shmuel said, yesterday we learned the beautiful sugya of gnevas das, even for a guy, you're not allowed to do gnevas das to a guy, and the Gemara says he never said it straight out. It was from a story that went on a boat and he told his shamish to go pay, and the shamish either gave the guy a chicken that was treif, or he gave him diluted wine. So you see that you're not allowed to be going, but the Gemara says, so what's the nafkamina if he said it mefurish or it's for maisa? Because if it was a maisa, maybe that's not exactly what he meant. Maybe he was just upset at him for having a chicken, or upset at him for giving him diluted wine. So the same thing we're going to say here today. Rav's halacha that basar shenesalim min ayin is not something that he said straight out in shir. It was a story, a good story. And the Gemara is going to ask, so what if it's a story? So in the story, you could say, listen, it's not because it's basar shenesalim min ayin, it's because of another reason. You're saying they're mamish like Shmuel's story. They're sitting there by the boat in the place called the Shtatyo. He sees a person washing off a head of an animal in the water. The head slipped his grip and fell into the water. Whoa, big loss. So the guy goes and brings a basket, shada, uses it as a net, asik train. You know, like sometimes, I don't know if it happened to you, it happened to me, you go into a mikvah and you drop a fork in the kelim mikvah. So you go and you bring a whole device, and when you pull your fork out, you get 3 forks. Why? Because the guy before you also dropped the fork. That's mamish what happened over here. The guy puts in his basket into the river, and instead of pulling out one head, he pulls out two heads. Omarav, Avdinami Hachi, what? This is a daily occurrence. You drop one thing in, and it's much like a moifes. You drop one thing in, and you pull out two. So he says, Asrina Nale. You have no idea where that head came from. One of these heads is 100% asr. Maybe. I don't know. The head that you had in your hand was kosher. But what about the head you pulled out? The second one. And you don't know which one is what. They both look the same. They're both sheep, whatever they are. Amrle, Rav Kahana, Rav Asi, Rav. So Rav Kahana and Rav Asi weren't happy. They go to Rav and they say, why did you say it's asr? We're talking about in a city where most of the people are Jewish and most of the heads are kosher. What's the problem? No. Over here, we're talking about the idea is that there's more chance that it will be asr than mutar. So it says, so akoponim, but what's the problem? You see from here that basar shenesalim menayin is asr. Rav said, look, that you can't rely on the second head. It was out of our supervision. Maybe a raven came and switched out the heads. Turning of the daf by Dar Global and Schus to Mati and the NDY Shidduch team may all turn the page to a new chapter soon. Amen. We should hear tremendous Bsuras Toyos soon. Encore Healthcare has a schus. Mark, you didn't give me an update. Encore Healthcare has a schus for Klal Yisrael. mdydaf.com /shidduch. So Rabbi say, you go to mdydaf.com. So it's our website. Go there anyways. Moti. It's already late. Yeah, it's already almost 1 o'clock in the morning. And he's been working. Literally, I heard that since he started this thing with the shidduch, he can't sleep. The names are coming in one after another, and he has to make sure that everything is yashar and everybody's getting the attention they need, and the shadchanim are getting their things and the leads and the website. At one point, the website crashed. There was so many coming in. He's in France. That's what it is. Chutzpah, he goes to France when so many people need to get married. Okay. What I can tell you is that there are couples that are dating and going out already. It just started 2 weeks ago. And yesterday there was 65 matches or something that I know of. Matches. And they're literally on dates already. It's happening. It's going. So Be'ez Hashem, we should hear Bsuras Toivos. First one to get engaged. Don't wait. Don't go out 10, 15 times. One time is enough to get the $10,000. What are you going to go? You're going to waste extra? No, I'm kidding. Make sure it's the right one, and then you'll worry about the money later. So if Rav didn't say it specifically, so what's the difference? But from the story, you could see that he held that Basar Shenesalim and Ayin is also. So the Gemara, Parvasa the Goyim have it. Over there was a port of mainly non-Jews. So that's why perhaps Rav said that you're not allowed to eat the meat because it's most likely came from a non-Jewish person. Teda, and I'll prove it to you. The Ka'amar Lahu, the Sur Shchichatvei. He said that it's more likely that it's a non-kosher piece of meat. In other words, because it's in a place of non-Jews. I mean, maybe I can't prove from there. Maybe I can't, but in fact, you can prove that it's because of Basar and Salmonite. At the end of the day, how in the world could you eat meat if you hold that if the meat is out of your eyesight for one moment, you can't eat it? How did Rav ever eat meat? Says Gemara B'Shaite, from the time it was shechted, he didn't remove his eyesight from the piece of meat. Another pshat is b'tzayora v'chatima, like we do today. It's packaged, it's sealed, it has like a wax seal on it. It has a good seal. V'hinami b'simana, or the piece of meat has a special identifying mark that you could tell. Karnasa. If you ever go to Eretz Yisrael, so when they sell in the bakery, they sell dairy items, milchak items, so they'll be in a shape of a triangle. So a lot of times you want to buy berekes, you'll see triangle berekes. That's a great indication that it is milk, that there's milk in it, there's cheese in it. Or there'll be a sticker on it, they'll say chalavi, there'll be a flag on it, but there's always an identifying marker. So if you cut your meat into a triangle, now I know that this is my kosher piece of meat. Lamazen.
Come on, let's wash.
The second they get up, hit the road, take their fresh meat and swap it for the mouse meat.
Take it, and don't take your eyes off the meat here, got it?
Okay.
There's another one. I don't think he has a solution. Get ready for takeoff.
What? What's he doing? Oh no! Oh, not a triangle! We have no solution for this, friend. I'm sick of this. I quit. They played us again. Anyone who wants, I'm heading out for pizza!
I hate pizza.
All right. Chaval, my grandchildren, so they kept on coming over to me. Zaidi, show us a funny video. Zaidi. So me the Chacham, I showed them the one with the kibbud aveim, where the guy hits the kid. The kid hits his father's. He doesn't know which one, over the head. So my 4-year-old asks, why does he keep on saying, I'm going to hit my fathers? Why does he have fathers? I wasn't going to go into the whole sugya with but she kept on wanting to see the video over and over. She loved it. Hitting the father over the head, and the guy, he cries, I want my mommy. But Chaval, I didn't have this one. We had a lot of good funny ones, but this is good for kids. Gewaldig. Zog the Gemara. Rav, have a causal story time. Rabbi says story time. Special for Ben Azmanim. Rav have a causal bei Rav Chonon Chasone. Rav was going to his son-in-law's house. Rav Chonon, his son-in-law. Chazam Aboro the Kaosila pay. I don't know. Americans are not so used to this, but in Eretz Yisrael, people that don't have cars and they wait for buses. How often is it that you go to the bus stop and as you show up to the bus stop, boom, the bus shows up? It's 1 in 1,000. It barely ever happens. So it just so happened that Rav, especially a boat is, very slow. As he shows up to the boat stop, the boat shows up. Omar, so he said, it's a siman. This is a sign that it's going to be a great day today. It's going to be a yontif today. Ozal, come above. So he got there to the son-in-law's house, his daughter's house, and he gets to the door. Oidik. Bivaza the dasha, he peeks inside. Chaza, and he sees inside the house. Chivasa the talia. Doesn't say chaya, chivas, chivasa. There were animals, a few animals hanging, ready to be eaten, ready to be cooked. Toraf abava, so he knocks on the door. Knock, knock. Oh, Rav is here, the Golador. The Golador is here, the Zayde, the Tata, he's here. Even the cooks, the chefs, they all ran to the door. Says the Gemara, Lo Yalim Rav Einaminei. Rav, as they're saying, hi, Abba, Tati, whoa. And they're all hugging and kissing him, but he's looking, he's staring at the meat. Why? Because Rav holds that meat that loses supervision even for a moment, you're not allowed to eat it. You're lucky. that I'm here. Otherwise, there would have been an Isser here for Bnei Beisi, Bnei Bras, for my household. There's a story about the Maram Benet. When he was a young Rav, they wanted to check him to see if he's a good Rav. So they brought him an animal they knew it was kosher. And they said to him, could the Rav check it? And he checks. He says, yeah, it's kosher. And then they made a commotion outside. Oh, there's a big shiloh, aguna, this, that. So he got up and went outside to see what's going on. And as he went outside, they went from the back, they pulled the kosher animal out, and they switched with a non-kosher animal. So he comes back in, and he says, Oy vey, we left the animal sitting here, and it was Botzashin and Salmon Ayin. We can't eat it. It's treif. So they said, but Rav, it's a large animal, it's a lot of money. We were right here outside. He said, no, halacha is halacha. Botzashin and Salmon Ayin, you're not allowed to eat it. Maybe somebody came and switched it. So they told him, the Rav, you should know that we were just checking you. We just wanted to see if you're makbid on the halacha or not. Now we see you're a good Rav. So he told them, yeah, very funny. But the animal that you took out, the original kosher animal, that's also treif. Because that was Basar and Salman Ayin. For a moment, nobody's watching it. When we walked out for the prank, you just lost the whole animal. So in our story over here, Rav didn't take his eyesight off the animal for a moment. Otherwise, it would be a problem. Basar and Salman Ayin. This is the famous Maisa.
Tell me already! Why aren't you eating?
What? What do you mean?
I have to know. You've had a meatball here since noon. Why aren't you eating it?
Truth is, I made a mistake. According to Torah law, you cannot leave meat unattended, and since I left it, I can no longer eat it.
What a wise Torah you have! I admire the Jewish people!
What do you mean?
Truth is... couldn't resist the smell.
Thank you, Hashem.
And by the way, I take it you're not eating that extra meatballs, so may I?
Be my guest.
Lo yochel Rav ma'u b'Yisrael. So Rav didn't eat from that meat. My timer. But why wouldn't he eat? If it's because they lost eyesight on it, but he never lost his eyesight. He was constantly watching it. Elo denachish. He was upset with himself, Rav, that he said that because the boat showed up, the bus showed up as he went to the bus stop, the boat showed up as he came to the boat stop, that's a raya that's going to be a great day. That's called nichush. This is the raisa. To guess and say, if this and this happens, then that's a sign and I'm going to do this and this and that. Ask the Gemara, but wait a minute, that wasn't the real nichush. Any nichush, that's not like the famous story of Eliezer Ebed Avram, where Eliezer Ebed Avram, Eliezer said, Shesei v'gam gumalecha eshke, ashkei. He said, if a girl comes out and says, drink, and I'm going to also give the camels to drink, that's a raya that, this is the siman that's the shidduch for Yitzchak. That's nichush. Why? Because he was relying on it 100%. Only if you do that, then you're over. Uki Yonism and Shol also made a simon. He said, if the guards, if the Plishtim are going to say, come to us, then we're going to go and we're going to kill out all the Plishtim. But if they're going to say, we're going to come to you, then we're not going to go to war with them. So with that, they believed in it 100%. So all the Rishonim discuss. So if they believed in it 100%, so then Eliezer Eved Avram was over on Nichosh. Yonasan was over on Nichosh. They say no. They have different ideas. One of them is that Eliezer Eved Avram was checking a physical thing. He wasn't checking a moifus. He wanted to see whether or not this girl has good midas. And if she offers me to drink and my camels to drink, good midas, okay, now I'll take it. Checking shidduchim, you got to do the right thing. It's not nichosh. mdydaf.com/shidduch. You got to do the right thing. You got to do, you got to make your shtadlus. So the Gemara. So what was the problem? Why was Rav upset at himself for saying, oh, if the boat shows up, the fact that the boat showed up, it's a raya that Hashem wants me. It's not a real nichush. He wasn't relying on it 100%. Says Gemara, you're right. El sudas rishus havay. Says Rashi, you're not going to believe this. When the daughter of a Talmid Chacham marries an Amoretz, it's not a sudas mitzvah. It's not a sudas mitzvah. It's not a regular chasana that there's a mitzvah in the chasana. Over here, she's stepping down. She's a bas Talmid Chacham getting married to an Amoretz. The Rav says the Gemara, Rav didn't want to benefit and enjoy a party. A sudas mitzvah, that's a different thing. But a party, a chasana that shouldn't really happen, that kind of chasana I don't want to benefit from. Says the Gemara, Gishmaka stuff. Rav bodig b'mabara. Rav, he held it was a good sign when the boat showed up. Right when he showed up, he didn't have to wait. Ushmuel bodig b'sifra. And Shmuel would open up a sefer like they do at the Lubavitcher Rebbe's Kaver, or called Goyrel Agra. You open up a sefer and you see what it says there in the pasuk or whatever. Does it refer to what does it answer your question? Rabbi Yochanan Badik Biyinuka. Rabbi Yochanan say, ask the child, what did you learn today in Cheder? So the Gemara Kulish Neder Rav have a kosav lady Rabbi Yochanan the Kodem Rabbeinu Shebebavel. When Rav was alive, and Rabbi Yochanan was the Galadar in Eretz Yisrael, and Rav was the Galadar in Bavel, so Rabbi Yochanan would write letters to Rav, and he would write the lashon of Rabbeinu Shebebavel, our master, our Rebbe in Bavel. Kedach Nafshi, when Rav was nifter, so then Shmuel took over. Have a cause of the Shmuel, lekodem chavereinu shebebavel, our friend. He didn't call him our Rebbe, he called him our friend. Now Shmuel took offense to that because he didn't want his Talmidim to think that he's just a chaver, not a psagadol. Omar lo yediya li midi der Rabbeinu. Isn't there something that I am greater than Rabbi Yochanan at? So Shmuel sent him the calendar for 60 years, trying to impress him with a luach. So Rabbi said, okay, he's great at math. He sent him 13 camels worth of different treifas and asked him questions on it and showed him his great knowledge in treifas. Oh, and that actually convinced Rabbi Yochanan. Omar Isli Rav Bavel. I have a Rebbe in Bavel. He's tremendous when it comes to treifas. I need to go visit him. I need to go see who this is. Omar Leili Nuka. So he tells the kid, should I make that big journey that I don't want to call it okay, we'll call it a journey from Bavel, from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel. I gotta see this tremendous gadol called Shmuel, who had 13 camels worth. They say it's a guzma, but a tremendous amount of treifas that he knew. So he tells the kid, he meets a child in the street, he says, what did you learn today in Cheder? That was his trick. Whatever the kid would say, that gave him the knowledge of what to do at that moment. Say over a pasuk. He quotes a pasuk in Shmuel, Ushmuel meis. Literally. Ushmuel meis. Shmuel died. In other words, you have nothing to go to Bavel because by the time you get there, you're going to miss the Shiva, you're going to miss everything. He's no longer alive. Omar, it's the Charaya that Shmuel died. Says Gemara V'loi, it's not true, Shmuel didn't die. Loi shachav Shmuel. The Rebbeinu Shalom didn't want Rabbi Yochanan to be Matriach. It's a tremendous journey all the way from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel. He didn't want him to be Matriach. If a person built a house, or he had a baby, or he got married, and he was very successful in his business, so it's a good sign. No, it's not considered nichush, which is Issa D'Oraisa, but it's a good siman. You're allowed to take simanim. This, when is it a good siman? When is it a good sign? If this happened 3 times, you made money in the stock market 1 time, 2 times, it's a raya, you're doing well. Keep on going. Yaakov Avinu says, I don't want to give Binyamin because Yosef died on me. Yosef is no longer here. Shimon is not here. In other words, if you take Binyamin and they don't return Binyamin, I'm going to have 3 lost. And then the Tsaras, says Rashi, will continue coming. Once there's a Chazaka in the Tsaras, then unfortunately the Tsaras keep on going. Ravuna asked Rav, what happens if you lost meat that's in a string? They used to put pieces of meat on a string. Isn't that a good siman? Omerlei, alti yishoite. Once again, my favorite word. Alti yishoite b'charuzin. Don't be stupid when it comes to charuzin. I raise a siman. Of course, it's a siman. Why are you acting like that? It's pasha. It's a siman. It wasn't a question and answer. He just made a statement. If you lost meat on a string, it's obvious that it's yours and it's kosher. Rav Nachman from Nardo went to Rav Kahana by Naharo, he was on the riverbank. On Erev Yom Kippur, we just learned in Oisev es Benoi that in Galil, it was Rabbi Yosef Glili that says that in Galil, there's 4 days that you must announce that you sold the mother and that you shouldn't shech the son. And he adds, even on Erev Yom Kippur is the day that there's a lot of meat and people eat, there's a chiyuv to eat, there's a mitzvah to eat, everything you eat on Erev Yom Kippur is a big mitzvah. Also, Erev Shadi Kavdi V'Kul Yasa. Calm the ravens, and it starts raining down liver and kidneys. You're allowed to eat it. Why? Today is the day that Klal Yisrael shechting. It's one of the 5 days he's supposed to announce Oisev es Benoi, because it's one of the days, the biggest days of shechita in the year. So it's a kosher meat. There's a siman. There's a roiv that it's kosher. Rav Chir bar Oven itbadle karkasha. A piece of the animal, the rectum of the animal got lost. Beidana. He lost it by Beidana. And he found something similar. Looked like he found his piece. Also, do you have a siman? I don't have a siman. Could you recognize it? He says, yeah, I could recognize it. I don't have a siman, but I recognize it. You could take it. Rabbi Sai. So let's finish over here so we don't have an hour. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.